Despite not being known to create sequels to their games, Treasure decided to break tradition in 2004 by releasing a follow-up to their Sega Saturn hit, Guardian Heroes. Launched in September of that year to an average reception, Advanced Guardian Heroes never quite got the major recognition Sega may have hoped for, but to this day it remains more of an underrated gem despite its flaws. Clinging on to a 65% Metacritic score, Advanced Guardian Heroes still does offer a one-of-a-kind GBA experience not found in every other game in its genre. If you didn't play the original, the gist of the story is an evil sorcerer named Canon sought a weapon called the Soul Sword, which had been underwatched by 4 noble adventurers: Han, Randy, Jinjiru, and Nicole, aka the original Guardian Heroes. This sword contained the soul of what was called the legendary undead hero, once known as the savior of the world. Sometime much later, the immortal known as Zur appears, bent on reviving Canon, now with the Guardians under their control. The remaining royal soldiers summon the power of the Soul Sword to recruit the soul of a hero from another world to inhabit the body of an unknown soldier. This essentially is you, the player. While the story might leave a little to be desired, the thing that immediately grabbed me was the combat. Advanced Guardian Heroes is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, so if there's one thing they needed to get right, it was this. At the start, you can choose from one of 3 characters: En, Rai, and Hyu. They all have a unique stat spread initially, but that can be tweaked, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Instead of a simple attack, jump, and special move layout, there is what feels like a fighting game list of moves ranging from a multi-hit combo to a dash attack to an uppercut. The list goes on. Using the R button, each character can utilize an elemental magic ability, and this is where it gets fun. There's a variety of either damaging or utility attacks, and depending on which character you choose, they will vary and can be toggled by pressing L. Along the way, you'll notice crystals dropping in different sizes depending on the types of enemies you defeat. This is the game's form of currency. After each stage, there's a level up menu displaying an array of stats that you can invest in whatever way you choose. I also want to mention a lesser emphasized feature called the Laboratory. Here you can donate additional crystals that contribute to research that ultimately will allow you to unlock more characters. Beyond the initial 3 heroes, there is another 18 that you can unlock, which includes the original Guardian Heroes and some bosses as well. Therein lies the replayability factor. Keep playing and earning crystals and you'll eventually have the entire roster available for use. Another unique element to the game is the Hyper Mode. The anger gauge bar on the top right of the screen will rise the more damage you take. At 50% or more, it will flash, and pressing A and B together will trigger Hyper Mode. The effects include an increase in speed, temporary invincibility, faster attacking, and MP meter recovery based on the level of your anger gauge. While in Hyper Mode, you can again press A and B and launch Re-Hyper Mode, which will destroy all of the enemies. One more unique mechanic is the Demon Mode, which is only accessible if you die. Before restarting the stage, you'll be given the option to accept Demon Mode, which will maintain both your HP and MP, however there is a caveat. You'll now face a completion timer, you won't be able to resume from where you began Demon Mode, and crystals are no longer available to level up or send to the lab. Choose carefully. I really have to tip my hat to the implementation of multiplayer here. Unlike TMNT or Gunstar Heroes, this game does allow you to link up with a friend and co-op your way through the story. This is definitely a beat 'em up where you'll want to take advantage. There's even a 4-way multiplayer versus mode as well, where having all of the unlocked characters can really offer some more enjoyment. Unfortunately, I do need to mention a few of the game's issues. The first major one being the performance. As great as this game looks and feels at times, it tends to be too much for the GBA to handle, as you will experience some stuttering when the action picks up. If you're familiar with Treasure's style of game development, you'll already know to expect a constant stream of moving backgrounds, explosions, and bad guys. Also, the stage design is a little much at times. The game does go for a futuristic look, which is cool, but there are only 6 total stages, yet they are broken out into various sections. It can often feel like they drag on a little bit too long, with several sub-bosses and bosses appearing throughout. By playing on easy, you won't have any issues finishing the game, as the MP bar is set to unlimited and your health bar won't suffer as much. However, switching to normal, hard, and super hard will provide an imbalanced experience. Super hard is basically impossible, and the 2 settings in between are still quite difficult, and while there is a bonus for completion on the top 2 settings, it's really not worth the struggle. Your best bet will be sticking to easy or normal and just having a good time with it. Overall, I think Advanced Guardian Heroes does well to offer some of the most unique beat-em-up gameplay on the GBA, with some really interesting ideas and inconsistent execution. They were never going to reach the heights of those classics like Turtles in Time, Streets of Rage, and Final Fight, but for the hardware, I still appreciate the ambition here. If you want to hunt down a physical copy of this game, it's currently priced around $40, which is what I paid, and I wouldn't say it's too common these days, so anticipate that price to eventually rise. My biggest hope is now that we have Game Boy Advance online via the Switch, we could see Advanced Guardian Heroes get added. This would be the ultimate opportunity to really capitalize on the multiplayer functionality, which to me would be the best way to enjoy this game. Anyways, that's it for this one. Let me know if you've played Advanced Guardian Heroes before, or better yet, if you've tried the 2-player co-op. For now, that will remain on my GBA bucket list. And as always, let me know what other games I should cover in future videos. Thanks for watching.